Liverpool rocked by shock twists on and off the pitch. Don't miss a second. Subscribe now for instant Reds updates, exclusives, and breaking alerts.
News headline: Shearer Redknapp slams amateur Liverpool error in late Bournemouth defeat on Saturday evening, with one incident in particular drawing fury from Reds boss Arne Slot and former star Shearer Redknapp. Shearer Redknapp has slammed Liverpool for their amateur decision to not replace the injured Joe Gomez in their defeat to Bournemouth. The Reds slipped to a dramatic 3-2 loss at the Vitality Stadium on Saturday. Amin Adli scored late in stoppage time to secure victory for the Cherries. Liverpool had previously managed to come from 2 goals down, with goals from Virgil van Dijk and Dominic Szoboszlai. Bournemouth's second goal saw complaints from Liverpool's bench as Alex Jimenez netted while Liverpool were down to 10 men, with Gomez also having gone off injured, while Wataru Endo had not yet been brought on as a replacement. Former Liverpool star Redknapp slammed the actions of the Reds in not plugging the gap. Speaking on Sky Sports, he said, "You can see it's a nasty injury to Joe Gomez. You give him maybe a minute or two, then you try to make a substitution. This took them 7 minutes before Liverpool decided to make a substitution. Then they obviously ended up conceding that second goal. I find it staggering in this day and age that you're going to have a situation like that. We've gone through footage a few times because we want to check and then give Liverpool the benefit of the doubt. To check, have they got an opportunity to kick it out? Has there been a free kick? Has the manager spoken to the players and made this a priority for everyone? I don't just want to criticize the manager or backroom staff. Sometimes, as a player, you take responsibility. You realize you've got 10 men. Gravenberch has dropped into the back 4, so you think, what can we do about this? Nobody was saying, let's get the ball out of play. Let's get a center back on. They don't take the opportunity." He went on, "Arne Slot is telling his players to get the ball out of play while someone is giving Endo instructions. Just get him on the pitch. It's of paramount importance that you get him, Endo, on. Get your kid off and get on the pitch, mate." I used the words amateurs at halftime. It's not good enough. Endo should have been on the pitch 4 minutes earlier. If he was on, the goal doesn't happen. Liverpool's defeat at the hands of Bournemouth leaves them 4th place in the Premier League, but with just a 1-point advantage over Manchester United, who play Arsenal on Sunday.
News headline: Amateur Hour. Alan Shearer tears into Liverpool after nightmare defending. Alan Shearer did not hold back after Liverpool's latest defensive collapse, branding it amateur hour as he criticized the Reds' lack of organization and discipline. Alan Shearer has delivered a scathing assessment of Liverpool's defending, branding the display against Bournemouth as amateur hour. Liverpool struggled defensively in the first half, escaping with only a 1-goal deficit at the break despite errors from Virgil van Dijk and Milos Kerkez that allowed Evanilson and Alex Jimenez to score. The Reds' captain pulled one back with a header from a corner, offering a glimmer of hope. In the second half, however, Bournemouth remained largely in control, and Liverpool failed to capitalize even after Dominic Szoboszlai scored a well-struck long-range effort. A last-minute winner from Amin Adli sealed the game, as costly mistakes continued to haunt the Reds and their wait for a first Premier League victory of 2026 extended. The former striker criticized the Reds' organization and discipline at the back, highlighting errors that proved costly and raised fresh concerns over the team's defensive solidity. "Both goals Liverpool conceded were self-inflicted," said Shearer when the Reds were 2-1 down. "There was a mistake from Van Dijk for the first, but the second was just amateur hour. Why would you not kick it off the pitch when you're down to 10 men? They had the opportunity to do it and paid the price in the end." After Bournemouth secured the victory, Alan Smith on Sky Sports said, "That long throw has finally enabled them to snatch this in the dying seconds. Absolute sickening for Liverpool to be denied so late on." Speaking after the game, former Reds player Shearer Redknapp said, "What an effort they, Bournemouth, put in today. That performance from Liverpool sums up their entire season. They are hard to identify. They are so passive in possession. This was no low block. They wanted it a little bit more. They knew what they had to do and kept persevering. Bournemouth deserved that win." Former Wales defender and match-of-the-day pundit Ashley Williams said Bournemouth capitalized on Liverpool's defensive mistakes. He said, "It wasn't a surprise to see Liverpool lose. They just didn't defend well enough throughout the game. Also, in attack, they had 75% possession in the second half and still only managed 1 shot on target, which was the goal. Credit to Bournemouth, they took advantage." Liverpool.com says, "The reality remains that the Reds need to improve, especially defensively in the second half of the Premier League campaign, while the teams chasing them have also shown a lack of consistency. However, results like this do little to help Arne Slot as he tries to build confidence and a long-term structure. His wait for a league win in 2026 continues, and ultimately, the Reds can only blame themselves for the outcome."
News headline: Richard Hughes is about to do something insane at Liverpool. Richard Hughes is embarking on a bold strategy by the looks of things at Liverpool. The Reds spent just shy of £450 million in last summer's window. It was a significant investment and a massive squad overhaul. So far, the signings have taken time to settle, and the team has not found its balance yet. This was to be expected. Liverpool's signings are young, and they will need time to develop and gel together. But while fans are eagerly awaiting next season for them to explode, Hughes and the recruitment team may have other plans. In fact, one of the reasons why they haven't ousted Arne Slot from his job might be down to the fact that this was their plan all along. Not necessarily for Liverpool to perform so badly, but that the Reds would not be completely perfect heading into this season. The most fascinating part of it all is that Hughes could be about to do it again and makes what could be an insane move. We're in January at the moment, and already we are seeing Liverpool letting another key player go in Andy Robertson. In his place, the return of Kostas Tsimikas from his loan spell at AS Roma will provide some depth in the left-back position. But long-term, Liverpool have a problem. Tsimikas will likely not be staying at Anfield as a backup. That means Hughes will need to sign a backup left-back, and that is just the start of his worries. Already there is speculation about the future of Ibrahima Konate, Joe Gomez, Curtis Jones, Mo Salah, and Alexis McAllister. It's a possibility that all of them could leave in the summer window. That's before we even start to talk about the fact that Alisson's and Virgil van Dijk's contracts both expire in 2027. We thought summer 2025 was an insane squad overhaul, but Hughes could be about to do it again. If Konate and Gomez both leave, he'll need to sign at least 2 center-backs to replace the duo. Then there's the right-back question. Connor Bradley is injury-prone. Slot prefers Jeremy Frimpong as a right winger, so potentially Liverpool might need to target another right back. If Jones or McAllister leaves, that's another midfielder added onto the list of tasks for Hughes and his recruitment team. And this is before we even consider the fact that Liverpool will also need to replace Mo Salah and probably finally replace Luis Diaz in the squad. So we could be looking at a new left back, a new right back, 2 new center backs, a new midfielder, and 2 new wingers likely needing to be brought in this summer. That's 7 new signings, another squad overhaul, and probably around another £450 million spent. In the space of a year, Liverpool could be spending close to £1 billion and completely change the face of the squad. It's an insane move, and it's something we've never before seen. But that is the reality we are facing, and it also means the Reds may only peak not next season, but in 2 or 3 seasons.
News headline: Liverpool fans won't believe Arne Slot's latest pathetic excuse for defeat. Arne Slot's latest pathetic excuse is one Liverpool fans will not believe. The Dutchman has had a flurry of bizarre statements this season. At times, it's hard not to sympathize with him because he certainly hasn't had it easy. Slot has had to deal with an entirely new squad and a new group of players. He's had to deal with 3 serious injuries, 2 of them to key players in Connor Bradley and Alexander Isak. Defending a Premier League title under those circumstances is never easy. But at the same time, there are times when Slot doesn't make things easy for himself. There are times when he only has himself to blame. Even amid the turbulent times, even with poor squad depth, Liverpool should never be on a run of games where they have only won 5 of their last 18 matches in the Premier League. Slot makes frustrating decisions. He tactically looks inept and is constantly outmaneuvered by other managers in the league. Against Andoni Iraola, Slot alluded to in his press conference that he was finally looking forward to not playing a low-block side. He seemed to suggest that this was going to mean Liverpool getting a good result and being able to be a bit more attacking. What it resulted in is Liverpool having an XG of 0.83 in the game, while Bournemouth had 2.30. Iraola's side created far more chances and actually dominated Liverpool. Aside from the 2 set pieces Liverpool scored from, Slot's side could not get past a Bournemouth side who had won just 1 game in their last 14 matches.
So, speaking after his press conference, what was Slot's excuse? It is safe to say a few players of ours ran out of energy. I cannot criticize them for that because 2 days ago we played an away game in Europe, Slot said. Without context, this seems like a reasonable comment to make. But first of all, it was 3 days ago. Liverpool played on Wednesday night, not Thursday. Secondly, it's just a pathetic comment to make when Slot decided to not make any substitutions against Marseille until the 79th minute. That decision was entirely on the manager. He only subbed on Curtis Jones and Cody Gakpo, while having Andy Robertson, Wataru Endo, and Rion Gumoha sitting on the bench. He could have easily given minutes to Train Yoni or any of the other options, maybe even rested Joe Gomez a bit by subbing on Endo, knowing Ibrahima Konate might be unavailable for the weekend as well, and being fully aware of the England international's injury problems. Slot could have also called up a few academy players and filled up his entire bench. But he didn't. He wasn't thinking about rotation, he wasn't thinking about managing minutes. Blaming exhaustion, blaming a lack of energy from his players is a pathetic excuse to make when he doesn't rotate them. This was always going to happen. He needs to be much better in giving fringe players minutes.
News headline: Arne Slot sees season-long lament unfold again as Liverpool's maddening failure goes on. News and details. Ian Doyle with the main talking point from Liverpool's Premier League clash at Bournemouth on Saturday evening. Not even the fabled set-piece balance could save Liverpool here. So continues the maddening way in which the Reds are frittering away any chance of making ground in the Premier League. Certainly, while prospering in the Champions League, Arne Slot's side are doing themselves few favors in their attempts to ensure participation in the competition next season through domestic means. Now the Liverpool boss will once again find himself under pressure after a 13-game unbeaten run was ended in painful, dramatic, and utterly avoidable fashion. This defeat will have negated any positivity that came from the manner in which the Reds fought back from 2 goals behind to level, having effectively gifted Bournemouth their quick-fire first-half double, and that both Liverpool strikes came from dead ball situations to address a shortcoming long highlighted by Slot. The first goal was particularly notable, with Virgil van Dijk glancing in Dominic Szoboszlai's corner to give the visitors hope just before the interval. It was the first time the Reds had converted such an opening in the Premier League this campaign. The equalizer was a second example inside a week of creative play from a dangerous free kick, Szoboszlai this time curling around the wall from 25 yards after the ball was rolled into his path from Mohamed Salah. It must be said no team has conceded more times from set pieces in the top flight than Bournemouth this season. Next on that list of shame, Liverpool. And clearly old habits die hard. When Bournemouth forced a brace of long throw opportunities in the final seconds of the game, the Achilles heel of being unable to defend set pieces that debilitated Liverpool during the opening months returned in untimely fashion. While some might point to the fortune that allowed a succession of ricochets to eventually fall into the path of Amin Adli, others would scrutinize the lack of decisiveness in the Reds wanting to deal with the danger. It was the 5th time Liverpool had conceded after the 90th minute in the Premier League this season, all of which have resulted in dropped points. And the fact is, the Reds have now taken only 4 from their 5 league games this calendar year. That's simply not good enough. After 4 successive top-flight stalemates, it's not quite back to the drawing board for Slot, but the problems that have hampered his team all season clearly aren't going to disappear quietly.
News headline: Arne Slot makes tired Liverpool claim after dramatic Bournemouth defeat. Liverpool boss Arne Slot gives his reaction after seeing his side concede in stoppage time to fall to a 3-2 defeat at Bournemouth, having fought back to draw level after going 2-0 down. Liverpool boss Arne Slot blamed his side's defeat to Bournemouth on his players being tired after their midweek win over Marseille in the Champions League. The Reds fell to their first defeat in 14 games as Amin Adli scrambled the ball home in stoppage time to secure a 3-2 win for Bournemouth. The visitors had earlier fought back from 2-0 down thanks to goals from Virgil van Dijk and Dominic Szoboszlai, but it was yet another disappointing result in the Premier League. Slot's side has now taken just 4 points from its last 5 games and risks being overtaken by Manchester United and Chelsea in the race for the top 4, with both of those sides yet to play this weekend. Giving his reaction to his side's defeat, Slot told the BBC's Match of the Day, "It is a cruel game if you lose in extra time after coming back from 2-0 down at halftime.
I think it was only 5–10 minutes in the first half where we didn't have total control. We played through them nicely a few times, but we conceded twice, and we went down to 10 men, so that doesn't help. It felt to me that if we were able to make up the 2-1, we would have been back in the game. We were a lot of the time in promising positions, but we were 2-0 down, and it did feel to me that we were going to score and get back in the game. It is fair to say that in the last 10 minutes it was more open, but I could see that my players were tired because we only had 2 days in between each game. Despite Slot's comments, there is little time for his side to rest, with another Champions League game coming up on Wednesday, as the Reds host Karabag in their final league phase encounter. Liverpool is well placed to secure a top 8 finish and qualify for the last 16, although another poor result in the league means questions still remain amid what has been a disappointing season. On the goals conceded by his side, Slot added, "It was Bournemouth's best 10 minutes. It is mostly the same few players who have to play, and it is safe to say that they were very tired, and I cannot blame them, especially if you face a very intense Bournemouth team."
News headline: Virgil van Dijk finds Liverpool excuses as Arne Slot instruction ignored. Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk reflected on Saturday's Premier League game after the Reds suffered a narrow 3-2 defeat to Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium. Virgil van Dijk pointed at the poor weather in Bournemouth when asked about his mistake during Liverpool's 3-2 loss on Saturday. Liverpool endured a nightmare day at the Vitality Stadium. Evanilson opened the scoring during the first half after Van Dijk failed to deal with a bouncing ball. Alex Jimenez then doubled the lead when the Reds were down to 10 players thanks to Joe Gomez's injury. Arne Slot urged his Liverpool players, most notably Alisson, to kick the ball out of play to allow him to make a substitution and replace Gomez with Wataru Endo. But the Reds failed to listen to their manager and allowed Bournemouth to take advantage. Liverpool managed to get back into the game just before halftime when Van Dijk's effort found the net. Dominique Szoboszlai's brilliant free kick then made it 2-2, but there was still enough time for Amin Adli to score a last-minute winner for the Cherries. Liverpool skipper Virgil van Dijk faced the music by speaking to Sky Sports. He noted the difficult weather conditions after being asked about Evanilson's goal. "The first goal was a difficult one to judge," said Van Dijk. "The wind was very tricky, so it was difficult." When asked about Liverpool's failure to kick the ball out of play, Van Dijk added, "We were with 10 men. You can argue that we have to kick the ball out. It's not on Alisson. It's easy to say he should have done this. It is a split second. We decided to keep the ball as we had possession, and unfortunately for us, we conceded. Losing never feels good, especially as a Liverpool player." Van Dijk also claimed he was fouled for Bournemouth's winner. He added, "What I felt on that pitch was that I was clearly blocked. The referee and the VAR don't give it. We will have to accept it. I can stand here and say it should not be given, but it was. It is what it is." Yet Sky Sports pundit Shearer Redknapp argued he was blocked off. He was fouled, but it was by his own player, Curtis Jones. Virgil is in a decent position, but as it comes in, and it's an incredible throw, he goes to attack it. As he goes to win it, he trips over him. Then it all becomes about Adli. He's brilliant. He's the only one alive to the situation. The result leaves Liverpool 4th in the Premier League table, 1 point ahead of Manchester United in 5th, and 2 points ahead of Chelsea in 6th. Yet both of those teams have a game in hand on the Reds. Bournemouth, meanwhile, have jumped up to 13th in the standings.